Hello friends, welcome to GCA. Hope you all are doing good. So today in this video, I will be discussing about my WAT strategy that I followed throughout my SSB journey. And before this, I have made a number of videos on my preparation strategies. For example, TAT strategy, personal interview strategy, blank story strategy. And if you want to watch these videos, the link is available in the I button. So in this video, firstly, I will discuss in brief the basics of WAT. Then my mistakes that I did in initial attempts with the help of an example, and finally the changes that I did, that too with the help of an example, and finally the suggestions for better performance in WAT. So again, without wasting any time, let us start. Let us first talk about the basics of WAT in brief. So in WAT, that is word association test, there will be total of 60 words and each word will be flashed for 15 seconds. And the main requirement in this test is to write down first thought that comes into mind after seeing the word. And in this test, the quality matters more over the quantity, and for better performance, attempt at least around 55 words that are quality based. Now let us discuss the type of responses in WAT. So talking about the type of responses given by candidates in WAT, so the first category is of suggestive responses. So most of the candidates, they write suggestive sentences. For example, the word is obey, they write one should obey traffic rules. Then for word like cheat, we should never cheat. Then the second category is of factual responses. And there are number of candidates who write responses like that. For example, for war, Kargil war took place in 1999. Then for sun rises in the east. Then finally, there is a third category, that is the self-oriented responses, where the candidates include he, I, me, them. For example, for word honest, I am honest. So these are the three categories which are called as the low category responses, which makes candidates fit for non-recommendation. Now there is a fourth category that is required for better performance in WAT, called as the observational sentences. So basically, these are considered as high level responses. For example, for the word honest, instead of writing I am honest, we should be honest, honesty is the best responsibility, write the observational sentences. For example, being honest improves our credibility. Then for cheating, instead of writing we should not cheat, cheating is an offense, write the observational sentences like better security arrangement prevents cheating. So let us first discuss the mistakes that I did in my initial attempts. So the first was harmful online practice. So I have mentioned this in my TAT strategy video also. That is, in my initial SSBs, I used to practice PSYCH test online or various Facebook groups as well as on WhatsApp groups, because of which my responses were not natural, because my mind was already filled with the responses of other candidates. And second mistake was I was taking it as a sentence making test. So this is what we need to understand, that it is not a sentence making test. So because we all know SSB is a test of personality, so similarly for WAT also, what we need to do is we need to relate word related to our personality. That is, we need to write the first response that comes into our mind after seeing the word. Then thirdly, another mistake was I was making sentences specially related to GK and also current affairs. Now let me explain you with the help of an example. So this is how I used to write words. Like I mentioned that I used to write a lot of current affairs and GK knowledge in words. For example, for red flag is the joint exercise between India and US Air Force. Then for policy, China is surrounding India by string of pearls policy. Then war should be avoided, and some low level sentences like calm, MS Dhoni is a calm leader, and some factual sentences like army, Indian army is the third largest army in the world. Let us now discuss the changes that I did. So the very first, like I mentioned in my previous videos also, that is I took professional guidance for the PSYCH test, because for PSYCH test we need this guidance so that we can rectify our mistakes from our mentor. Then what I did for word is I did daily practice, and that too timed practice. And my responses were practical and action oriented, and now my responses were also short. And the major thing that I did by daily practices, there was a change in thought process. Now let us discuss the strategy that I followed. So I used to pick random words from newspaper and sometime from book, and then used to attempt those words within the time frame. And after that I used to analyze those responses, and after picking up some low level responses, I used to think again and rewrite with better response. And then I did this for around 2 months, and slowly my thought process became mature, and finally I used to show my responses to my mentor, and then he used to rectify my mistakes. and this is how I improved my WAT. Now let me explain you with the help of an example how my thought process changed my responses. Now my responses were mature and short. For example, for knowledge, the applied knowledge is power. Then for war, dialogue prevents war. And for routine, productive routine improve effectiveness. Please do not copy these sentences. Do follow the strategy that I mentioned. That will change your thought process and your performance in WAT will be improved. So finally, summing up the final suggestions. So take proper guidance. Write first thought that comes into mind without thinking that whether the response is good or not. Then write short and observational responses and avoid the words like I, would, should, can, will. And finally, do a timed practice. So friends, this is all about today's video and I hope this video will be beneficial for you. So till then, keep learning, keep supporting and keep watching. Thank you and Jai Hind.